welcome back to the IMNerd podcast. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Yay. Hey, we won the Super Bowl, baby. Philadelphia Eagles won the fucking Super Bowl for the second time in our lifetime, bro. And it wasn't close.
We did. It actually wasn't close. People are gonna be like, "Oh my god!" I didn't watch it. I was doing other shit, but I had Google on my other monitor.
There you go.
I always had the score was updating on Google, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome." I don't have regular TV. I'm sure I could have watched it on somewhere. But
yeah, I don't have regular TV either. No one has cable anymore.
Yeah, well, old people do.
Yeah, they don't count.
Damn.
They don't fucking count.
But I was hanging out. I was doing some other stuff, just having some fun. And I know it's a whole thing, but I didn't go to any parties. I wasn't going to actually sit down and watch the game. I did watch the halftime show.
Yes.
But I didn't watch the game. I was invested in our boys winning. I also feel like it was justice that the Eagles won, just because I feel like Kendrick Lamar in general, even though he's obviously not from Philly, but I feel like he's more akin with us.
Yes, 100%.
Than those other guys.
Those other guys are a little different. They're not like us.
They're not like us. They are not like us. So I feel as though, given who was doing the halftime show performance and what the halftime show performance entailed, it was only justice.
I do think that this has been a great month. It's Black History Month. And Trump's team was the Chiefs. And I just feel like there's something special about
so good.
Trump showed up to the game. He showed up to the Super Bowl, and his team got fucking demolished.
Destroyed.
They got fucking.
That's like he's doing to our economy. Oh my bad. Hold on. That's not what this episode's about.
They got absolutely destroyed in the Super Bowl. I actually did watch it. So if you've been listening to this podcast for years now, this is year 4 we're going on. You know that every year I go to a Super Bowl party at my friend Reese's house, and I don't really watch the game. Like I bring my laptop every time and I find something else to do. Last year, it was probably Slay the Spire. This year, I actually edited a YouTube video that went up today. So as we're recording this, the video with Marcus Carisse, where the Gigavice deck that he got top 8 at YCS Orlando, I put that video out today. It's Monday. And so I edited that video during the Super Bowl. And then I just finished it up this morning and then put it out today, like in the afternoon. So that's what I did while the Super Bowl was happening. But because I was with my friend Gus, and a lot of you might know Gus, a loud Philadelphian guy, tall, black, pretty big overall, just in a big personality, very funny, very fun person to be around. And my friend Reese, my friend Ty, we were all together. We were talking about Monster Hunter. They played the open beta over the weekend. I didn't play it at all. I actually don't intend to play it next weekend either. Because I know they actually put the flagship monster in the game. I'm just not touching it. I
still don't know who the flagship monster is. Shout out to me.
Okay, well that's really good. I do know who the flagship monster is, but I don't know how it fights, and I think that's the important part anyway. Like its appearance is one thing, and I don't even fully know its appearance because the flagship never stays one way anyway, ever anymore. Like that's just not a thing. But the point is, we were talking about Monster Hunter. They were telling me how the flagship monster is so crazy, and I was like, just don't tell me everything about it. I just want to experience. Like I didn't play the open beta. I didn't stream it. I didn't do anything. I don't really care about the open beta. I played the beta when it first came out just to see the game, make sure that my computer, most importantly, could run it. I ran the benchmark. My computer can run it just fine. I'm using a 4090. So like, I don't really have any problems there. I'm excited. The game comes out in literally like 2.5 weeks. So I can wait.
I know. It's crazy.
And then
it's so crazy.
As we were like talking about that, eventually the game started. And the Eagles just came out swinging. And what I asked my friends during the week before the Super Bowl even happened was, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl? And all of them said the Eagles should win if you look at it on paper, but never bet against Mahomes, which is the sentiment that my one friend who's really good at sports betting, and he's just good at like sports in general. He was saying, this is the same feeling as like when a team is better than Brady. When Brady used to play in the Super Bowl, 7 out of 10 times that he was in it, he said, like, even if the other team is better on paper, you don't bet against Brady, right? So it's like, sure, teams are better than Mahomes and the Chiefs. And that doesn't mean they're necessarily going to win because that's just not how sports work. Like, that's not how team sports especially work. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Also, there was the whole thing about the referees, too. Everybody on the internet. So I know you're not big on looking into like the comment sections and stuff like that on the internet, Kenny, but I perused it a lot during the week. And almost everyone was saying like, good luck to the Eagles because they're not just against the Chiefs and Mahomes, which is already an insane team, right? Like they're on the verge of a 3-peat, so they have to be good. But they're also against the organization itself. And what is history in the making, because if the Chiefs did win the Super Bowl, it was going to be a three-peat, which is the first time this would have ever happened in NFL history, right? So we have three-peats in the NBA with Jordan, stuff like that. We've never had it in the NFL. So this was like a big historic match.
The thing is, it's so funny because they washed them like they got rinsed.
It wasn't close.
The Eagles rinsed them. And I think that was on purpose. And from the Eagles, like, I think they came at full game face. So, as it's not like a secret, I don't really watch sports all that often. But I do enjoy sports. I like playing them. I don't really like watching them. Yeah. And I like knowing about them, I guess. Like, I watched a ton of, like, Kobe Bryant clips or, shit like that. And then, like, interviews from different sports people and, like, people talking. And on YouTube, there's just so much. I feel like every basketball player has a podcast right now. I don't really know. But, like, every now and then, I won't be looking for it. But, like, a random, like, 4 basketball players on a podcast, like, will show up in my feed and, like, I'll hear what they have to say for 1 minute. And one of them, it's, like, so relevant to what you're saying right now, is they were talking about, first they were like, I don't even really know if we can talk about it. And the one guy was like, fuck it, I'll talk about it, because I guess he wasn't in the league anymore.
Yeah.
But he's basically saying, like, in basketball, like, it's not just whether or not your team is better than the other team to win. And he was saying, I don't remember which team this guy was on, but he was basically saying, like, it was his team versus this other team. And he was like, for us to win by 2, we're going to have to win by 12. And the other kid was like, what does that mean? And they were basically just talking about how, like, the guy was, without saying it, saying, like, the NBA is rigged, like, the refs are rigged. And he was like, they're telling a story and it's entertainment. And this team is the team the NBA wants to win. This is the storied team. I think it was like these two teams playing. And then, like, in the finals was, like, let's say it was, like, Golden State Warriors and, like, LeBron James on the Heat. Or
whatever of the 4 teams
LeBron was on at the time, right? Let's say it was, like, Bron was waiting, and it was, like, Golden State Warriors has to get to him or something like that. Or, like, vice versa. It was basically, like, what do you want to see in the finals? Our team versus LeBron or Steph Curry versus LeBron? Like, in order for you to win, you got to, by 2, you got to win by 12. And it was just, like, really funny because they were talking about how, like, it's definitely rigged. Like, the refs call some bullshit.
I think it is rigged in general because a couple of reasons. One, it's confirmed that there have been referees caught cheating. There's also been players who are caught cheating as well. And what I mean by cheating is, because in sports, it's a little different. Obviously, the referees can be paid off and they can do things to influence a game. And this has blatantly come up. What's funny is that I think there's only one referee who's actually been confirmed to be malicious and scummy and cheating and stuff like that. But there's no way it's just the one guy, but that's the one that the whole league focused on, and the organization put out a statement and made it all about him. But there's no way he's the only guy in history that has ever cheated in the NBA. Like, there's no way he's the only referee that has ever been paid off or done corruption or anything like that. So they might hone in on one guy, the fall guy, but that it's a deeper, way more malicious thing than just one person. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, now that sports betting is legalized on every device, essentially, in multiple states, I think that there's entirely too much money on the line to leave it up to chance. I do not think that the powers that be, seeing all the money that the everyday person can put on these games, because all of my friends are gamblers, they all play sports bets on their phone, they gamble on everything from the coin flip down to who's going to score first, down to if the first point scored are going to be a 3 points with the field goal, or if it's going to be a fucking actual touchdown, if the first thing that happens after that is going to be a 2-point conversion or a kick. Like, you can bet on every single part of the game.
It's absurd.
It's sick. It's actually sick. You can bet on every part of the game, and
I got a 15-leg parlay. Like, like, if this works out, you know what that is?
Yeah, no, I know what parlays are for sure.
Bro, they're like, so I got like absurd. A 15-leg parlay, and if it like works out,
my $5 becomes my $5 is $3 million.
It's like, what the fuck?
It is so insane the things that people do and the amount of money they throw away. And a lot of times the bets, those parlays, are really small amounts that you put in, and your odds of winning are astronomical. So people will be like, oh, it's only $5, but if I win, I make like $40,000 or something. I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but let's say your $5 becomes $5,000, which I think is a little bit more realistic. They don't care that they lost $5, which I think is already a problem, because you keep doing it. Like, you don't parlay once. These people are parlaying
every week.
You're doing it every week. You're doing it every game. And so you didn't just lose $5 in a year. You probably lost like thousands of dollars over the course of time. So that's a big problem. But what I wanted to say about this is pulling the rug. So whenever all the money is on one side, and you can see it in the apps, like when you're on DraftKings or Prize Picks or whatever these fucking apps are called, you can literally see like most people have their money on X team. And the other team, if you bet on them, then you would make a lot more because they're the underdog, clearly, right? Well, when there's so much money in one direction, I feel like that's the most likely time for there to be a rug pull, because that's how you really get rich. If everyone puts their money on the Chiefs and then the underdog wins, then the underdog, like, you just get so much more money from that, so much more money from getting the other person to win. So in this particular Super Bowl, it was very even going into it. Vegas was not picking sides. Honestly, it was like 52-48 at one point, then it was 50-50, and there wasn't really much money to be made no matter which one you bet on. It was almost like if you put up $100, you could make $100 is what it was. You weren't getting real odds or anything like that. You weren't getting like 5-1 odds. You know, if you put up $100, you get 500. It wasn't like that. And that told me that they felt like, man, Philly must be very real. If they feel like the defending almost three-peat legacy dynasty thing isn't enough to guarantee like win this game, that they didn't feel comfortable going against Philadelphia. And that's good. Like, that's good for us because, like my friend said, if we're being honest and there's no weird collusion, cheating bullshit, Philly on paper has 40 of the best players in the entire league, and Kansas City has 10. So, like, it's our 40 of the best players in their positions against their 10 play. Like, they have the best quarterback. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback, and they have like 9 other positions where they have like the best player or whatever. But then we have literally, there's 50, it takes 50 people to make a NFL team. We have 40 of the best players. So it's like, we should win. Like, they said, if you take their stat sheets and you went player by player, right? And you went down like, okay, start from the top and go down every position, Philly is going to check off 40 of those, and the Chiefs are only going to check off 10. And last night, that was very visible to me during the game.
Yeah, I think the Eagles wanted to make sure everybody knew, too. They were like, listen, I don't give a fuck who's trying to put the fix in. I'm going to blow y'all the fuck out so that nobody can put this, like, there's not a single ref that can make enough calls to stop us.
No, there wasn't. It was 34-0. And at that point, we all knew it was over. Like, when it was 24 at halftime, I was feeling pretty confident because the only time a team has ever come back from that specifically was Tom Brady in 2017 versus the Falcons, when he was down 25-0, and he actually came back, went to overtime, and then won the Super Bowl from overtime, which was one of the most historic, craziest things I've ever seen. I actually watched that game start to finish because I was a big Tom Brady fan when he was playing, and it was super epic. And so in the back of my mind, as I'm watching Mahomes be down by 24 during halftime, I was like, man, normally this would be over because no one had ever come back from that outside of that one game where Tom Brady did it. But Tom Brady happens to also be the best football player to ever live. So, like, It's like a couple things happening. It's like, okay, you have the best. Tom Brady has, to be clear, he has more Super Bowl wins than any other team by himself.
Yep.
He has 7 wins, and no other team has 7 Super Bowl wins. So Tom Brady by himself as a person has more wins than any other team does. And so I was like, okay, that feat was only done by the best person ever. But then Patrick Mahomes is clearly on the same track as Tom Brady because before 30 years old, they both have 3 wins already. That's how Tom Brady's career went, and that's how Mahomes' career is going. He already has 3 Super Bowl wins, which is still crazy to me that he has 3 already, and he's not even 30. And then he's just been in a Super Bowl the last 5 years. Like, or like maybe not the last 5 years, 5 times in the last 10 years, but I think he's only been playing 8 years. Yeah, he's only been playing for 8 years. That's a fact. So let me try to get my facts straight as I can, because I'm not like a football guru, but I know a couple things. He's only been playing for 8 years. He's been in the Super Bowl 5 out of 8. He's lost once to Tom Brady and now once to Jalen Hurts. So once to the Eagles, once to the Buccaneers. And both of the times he lost, it was a blowout. It wasn't close. Tom Brady made him look like a child. Made it look like it was bring your child to work day. When Brady beat him like a couple years ago, it actually looked like bring your child to work day. It wasn't close. He locked him down completely. There was nothing he could do. Like, it was just a masterclass, right? And that's obviously, defense also plays a huge role in that as well. But Tom Brady's team at that time was just insane, and he won the Super Bowl first year on the Buccaneers. Crazy feat. Eagles lost to the Chiefs a couple years ago in the Super Bowl, and it was really disappointing. And I remember the day after, the energy in the city is so, obviously it's different when we win or when we lose the Super Bowl, but losing the Super Bowl, the energy is so, it's like the opposite of neutral. It just feels like it's drained. Everyone is sad, especially because you're going back to work. No one is really happy. Everyone's talking about, man, we could have done this, we could have done that. It was this was a bad play. Everyone's a day after, Monday morning quarterback or whatever they call it.
Yep.
Everyone's a Monday morning quarterback. And so it's really sad, even though I don't really care too much. But, like, I don't like when people are just energy drained, like they're just energy vampires. They're just kind of sucking energy out because of the Eagles. I'm really happy when people get over it. My dad used to be so emotional over the Eagles when they would lose. Like, I just remember all the time how sad he would be when I was growing up. And so that same feeling, I guess, like, it's not trauma, but that same energy, I remember feeling it around my coworkers and stuff like that, or around like people who really care, like my friends. I remember that same energy coming from them as I got older. And I don't hang around my dad, but now I hang around my friends, and they feel the same way when the Eagles lose, and it's just not fun.
Yeah, it's fun when they win, especially, the ELGL. Yes, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The mayor spelling the name completely fucked up.
The ELGLs, like it's a good. I like when they win. No, it's fun. It's definitely a fun energy. Like a bunch of people texted me. There was fireworks going off, like
gunshots.
Shit with gunshots.
There's always that mini game in Philly where you have to guess, like, is it a firework or is it a gunshot?
People were going wild in the streets. Leading up to it, the whole weekend leading up to it when I was at work, because I was wearing the hoodie that I have on now, which is a Kelly Green Eagles hoodie. I was wearing that, and I also have like a black and green Eagles windbreaker, for the rain and the snow and all the other bullshit that's happening. So I was wearing, and so everybody was like, they saw me, they bought their stuff, and then they did an Eagles chant or go Birds or whatever. Everybody was like getting hype and shit. So it was fun. It was fun leading into it. It'll be fun for the week or so after, like people just being excited and talking about it.
The parade's coming up, I assume. Yeah,
it's just like one of those things where I always say, like, at least in Philly, racism doesn't exist when the Eagles win. For that night, we're all brothers and sisters.
Yeah, whatever political party you voted for in November, that doesn't matter if you're a Trumper or a Kamala.
We're all green for a day.
Yeah, that's very true, Kenny. The black and white and yellow and all that stuff goes out the door. Everyone's green. The only color that really matters. Honestly, the only color that really matters in the grand scheme of things, too, but people they need to get that through their fucking thick heads, is that it's really a classism problem, not a racism problem. Like, people are racist, but they're idiots. Being racist at this point, you're focused on the wrong thing. Don't focus on the black people. Don't focus on the white people. Focus on the people with the money. They are the problem. The Jeff Bezoses, the Elon Musk, the Donald Trumps, the billionaires, they are the problem. They are the actual problem. So football did unite us for a night. I'm really happy that we did win. It's nice to have this city win twice in our lifetime. I never thought I would see that. I didn't know that we would ever win once in our lifetime. Like when we won in 2018, it was historic. I mean, it was the first time.
I think I've told this story before, but when I was in high school, my 11th grade English teacher forced us to write a paper on why the Eagles will never win the Super Bowl.
That is so crazy to me.
Like, I don't remember. There was like a whole discussion about this whole thing and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, we had to write like one of the weeks. Like, I think we had to write an essay every week on a different topic. And one of the weeks was why the Eagles will never win a Super Bowl. And like, we had to like go study and analyze the history of the Eagles and all this other stuff, and then explain what's wrong with their organization, all this stuff. And I just remember just arguing with them because I was like, I get what you're saying, but this doesn't make sense, right? Like 10 years from now, who knows what this team looks like? And it was just really funny. But
that's
so
a weird thing.
Because they won twice. I wish I could find that guy on Facebook or something.
I know, right? Like, remember when you had us write that paper about how we will never win? Like, look at us now, But yeah, two-time winner. So a lot of the other teams, have to eat crow, and people who shit on Philly, you have to eat crow. We're champions. We're world champions now. And yes, it is world champions, not just national, even though this sport is only played here. But yeah, we're world champions.
People play in other countries, not like how we play.
Yeah, they don't play in the NFL though. Yeah, they're not part of the National Football League.
It's not like they'd win anyway.
They wouldn't.
You know what I mean?
They just would not. They literally would not. Philadelphia. Not only are we beasts, but in terms of the NFL, we just recruit whoever from wherever that is just a giant. If you're very talented, we would just get them from another country anyway.
Yeah, like I know NBA has people from other countries, but you can't convince me that America would lose to any other country in a basketball match. Like, I'm not.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say an NFL match. But yeah, in a basketball match especially, I think also the only team we could ever lose to, I feel like, in football would be like Africa. Like, if there were like several African teams, then I could see that being an issue.
The reason why I brought up basketball is because I know we do basketball in the Olympics, whereas like football isn't done in the Olympics or whatever.
It's not even done.
So,
and when we sent our best talent to the Olympics, because I know that one year, like not this past Olympics that just happened in 2024 where we dominated, but the one before that, we didn't send really anyone, and we actually lost, and people were super embarrassed about that. So this year, Steph Curry, LeBron, Kevin Durant.
And good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. Good fucking. The one year we sent Kobe Bryant and LeBron James. It was like, okay, guys.
Yeah.
pack this shit up.
Yeah, so we sent like the All-Stars this past Olympics, and it just wasn't
Steph
even
Curry,
close.
KD, LeBron, like,
yeah,
come on, guys.
That's already enough. But then you just start adding in like the younger new stars who are ridiculous, Luka, Joker, and all of them. Antetokounmpo and
the one. That's Giannis, right? The Greek guy.
Yeah.
The Greek god or whatever they call him.
Yeah, he's broken. Yeah, we just didn't play a fair game. But the Eagles won again. Super excited. I like the energy of. Like the champion energy is really nice. It actually motivated me last night after seeing them win, seeing them dominate, seeing them be crowned champions. I was like, damn, that I didn't really care, but now I feel like I'm supposed to care again about winning in Yu-Gi-Oh again. And I really wasn't motivated prior to that, but seeing a Philadelphia team win such a historic event, such a big thing, and now there's only a couple teams that won twice. I actually looked at a graphic the other day that showed every team and how many wins they have. First of all, half the teams in the NFL have never won a Super Bowl. I just wasn't aware of that. Like, just straight up, like half of them don't even have a single win. Then there was only like 3 or 4 of them that had a win, like just one. Then there was a couple that had 2, and then a couple that had 3, I want to say. And then it was like Tom Brady. It was the Cowboys. It was the Cowboys, then it was Tom Brady, to put it in order. It was like Tom Brady has 7. I think the Cowboys have 6. Something like that, or the Cowboys and Patriots have 6, because Tom Brady won 6 of them with the Patriots, so they have to have 6. Yeah. So I think it was like Tom Brady, the Patriots, the Cowboys, in descending order. And then it was like the Broncos had multiple, I think the Rams had multiple, the Vikings, something like that. The Raiders had multiple, and then the Eagles had 1, and a couple other teams had 1. And I was like, damn, now we're moving into an even more crazy field of having 2.
And
all of my friends were saying, the people who know football, they were saying this could happen again next year very easily, because this team is so broken. Like, the team is genuinely, on paper, outrageous, that if they just don't suffer from injuries specifically, it's very, very possible. And in fact, Vegas has the odds, because you can bet on the winner right now for next year, but Vegas has the odds. They're number 1. The Eagles are number 1 for next year. And obviously after the Chiefs won last year, they were number 1. But you could bet before the season even starts, before you know anything about anything, and the odds are always the craziest. So for example, if you bet last year, I think it was on the Raiders, or maybe it was I don't know, it was one of the teams. You could bet on them last year before the season started. They were they were on paper the worst team leaving the season that just concluded. But if you bet on them, $1,000 got you like $50K. Because it's so unlikely that they will win the whole thing next year. So the highest chance to win a shit ton of money was to bet before the season starts on the worst possible team, and your odds are astronomical. But obviously, that's also kind of stupid.
Yeah, people love getting caught up on that. Like, yeah, but dude, if you win, it's like, yeah, but you're not going to win.
Correct.
Like, that's not going to win. That's why. Like, that's why if you win, it'll change your life.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to. That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So people get really focused on that.
It's funny because the Tom Brady stat is eventually going to not be true. Where like eventually a team will have more wins than Tom Brady. But I think it will always be important for people to remember, like, while Tom Brady was like, when Tom Brady played, he had more Super Bowl wins than, because like a team is infinite, right? The Dallas Cowboys will be here 300 years from now.
Yeah, Tom Brady will be dead and gone. And I mean, he's already retired, so he can't even get more wins as is unless he starts coaching, I think is the way he can get more. But other than that, no. Yeah,
so but he's definitely the GOAT. Like, he's crazy.
Yeah, yep. That's not going to change. But okay, so that was just our little intro on the Super Bowl. And I mean, I feel like we had to talk about it simply because we are both Philadelphians, both of us born and raised here. So I mean, you're also born and raised like Philadelphian, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're both born and raised here.
Jefferson Hospital, baby.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know what hospital I was. I don't know what hospital I was born. I'm assuming either Jefferson or Children's, but I was.
Before we do listener letters, I do just have to talk about the halftime show a little bit.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. How can we possibly forget that?
I do, just because
I started off singing it.
I don't think there's ever been a rap battle that has had a harder victory lap.
No.
Than what Kendrick Lamar has been doing.
This is
like, I don't know if anybody's ever lost a battle harder than Drake. Like it might be worse than Ja Rule. Like, I get it. Ja Rule lost his whole career. Drake's not going to lose his whole career, I don't think. But like, Ja Rule lost his whole career, but the way this victory lap is happening, I think 50 Cent didn't perform fucking Many Men at the Super Bowl. No. You know what I mean?
I think two things can be true. I think the victory lap is the most ridiculous victory lap ever. I think the on the other side, the losing is probably harsher on Ja Rule than it is on Drake, just because Drake, like you said, Drake's career isn't going to go anywhere. Although I am curious to see, he's dropping an album on Valentine's Day. I'm very curious how that album's going to be received. Now, it is an album with Party Next Door. It's not just Drake dropping a solo project. I think he's very smart because he always has been strategic. Mm-hmm. He's not dropping a solo album, and he even said it in Australia where he's at right now. So he's not even in the United States because he doesn't want to be here right now. Of course,
he doesn't belong here. Anyway.
He doesn't belong here anyway. He's not like us.
Listen, Trump, we're trying to get rid of. Listen, all right, send him out. Get him out. Trump's trying to send everybody out. Get him out.
So he's in Australia. And he's doing a joint album on Friday coming up. So when you're hearing this, it'll probably be, this Friday that you're hearing this, right? The Drake album with Party Next Door is coming out. It's an R&B album, from what I understand. It's not going to be much. I don't think it's going to be that much rapping. So it's the Drake. R&B. Yeah.
I heard somebody say, because apparently SZA and Kendrick Lamar were rumored to do an album together for a long time, and somebody was like, they should just drop a duet.
I just saw that today.
R&B album on Valentine's Day. That would go crazy.
Yeah, now that is a type of... So once you start getting to that level of petty where you start stepping on his drops, I mean, if it doesn't end with the... Because, it was Grammys last week. It was the Super Bowl this week. And if he drops an album on top of his album for 3 weeks in a row, the three-peat, that's just too much. That's too much. But I do think...
I would get so hyped.
I do think you're right. The victory lap is by far the most egregious victory lap we've ever seen. I don't know if we'll ever see anything like this again, because Drake was literally at the top. Like, even amongst the big three between him, J. Cole, and Kendrick, he was considered the leader. He was considered the number one, right? He was the Goku to their Vegetas. And now it's like, bro, he got dethroned the hardest. Like, that man is not at the top at all. If you're a delusional Drake fan, I'm sorry to see. I've seen so many people delusional last night comment that Super Bowl halftime show wasn't good. Y'all don't even like his music. If it wasn't for Drake, who would even know who Kendrick Lamar is? Which is so crazy to say that, because Kendrick Lamar was already Kendrick Lamar before Drake. He already had 20 Grammys, or I think he had 17 Grammys before he ever spoke ill of Drake. He had a Pulitzer Prize. He also had the number one grossing rap tour of all time until, who was it who went on tour after him? And then, Travis Scott, a year later, went on a tour, did way more shows than Kendrick, by the way, and beat Kendrick's tour. But when Kendrick did his tour for the Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, it was the biggest rap solo tour of all time. So and with hundreds, it made hundreds of millions of dollars. So for people to say, like, no one plays Kendrick when he's selling out stadiums, he was selling out stadiums full of people and had the highest grossing tour ever. That just seems delusional. I mean, it's scary to say things like that.
Kendrick has been huge. There's a reason why, like, regardless of whether or not, like, Drake was the number one guy at the time, like, he was the number one artist, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why people were calling it the big three. Obviously, Kendrick Lamar was somebody. He wasn't fucking Logic.
Yeah, like, he's not beefing.
I like Logic, but, like, he's not.
He wasn't beefing with the game,
All right. That's. Dude, the game is so irrelevant, bro.
I know. He keeps trying to be relevant, though, Kenny. That's why he catches strays.
I think last year, like, out of nowhere, his whole career, he said, I will never beef with Eminem because, like, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, last year, randomly, he was like, fuck that white boy, I'm better rapper.
Yeah, he did make a whole 15-minute track, right?
Yeah, just dissing Eminem. And it's like, bro. Like,
wasn't it like, was it Rap Demon or something? I forget. I don't know. People...
It was a rant.
It was bad. I just know it was 15 minutes and, like, no one cared. Like, no one cared.
No one cared. But yeah, so they're the big three. But also on top of that, Kendrick just has been a solid. He's been amazing. Like, if we're just talking rapper, and I think this battle has now proven it to a lot of people, except for people that are completely delusional.
I didn't need to have the proof, but I can tell you, I don't know what you're about to say.
Actual rapper,
it wasn't close.
Kendrick was always a better rapper.
Yes, like, that just was not close to me.
Like, that wasn't a conversation. Drake made hits. He had the song for the club.
Drake makes better music, popular music. Drake very easily makes better popular music. But if you're talking about the skill of rapping and lyricism, I do not think I actually think Drake is third out of the big three.
If we're comparing just those three, 100%.
I have Kendrick number one, especially after what happened, because I have to take into account what happened. I have Kendrick number one, I have J. Cole number two, and I have Drake number three. And in terms of actual lyricism, like straight up lyricism.
Yeah.
Kendrick is number one to me, and I really think that like it's there's blatantly now a gap because he was willing to actually rap, and the songs that he turned around in such a short amount of time, they're all cohesive songs. They follow a theme. Like Euphoria is still my favorite diss track.
Responses too, like there were responses to shit. There were references to things Drake was saying. Like it was crazy.
It was references to things that Drake was about to put out. Like, that's just the craziest shit. He was responding to the response that hasn't dropped yet. Like, don't tell no lies on me, and I won't tell lies about you. That Euphoria I won't tell truths about you. Yeah, truths. Like so fucking good.
I love the night. I love the reactions of like fucking Family Matters drop.
Yes.
And then 30 minutes later, Meet the Grams, and people are like, It's like everybody, like all the Drake fans popping off when Family Matters comes out, and then it's like 30 minutes later.
Yes.
Like, oh shit.
Yep. And then a day later, Not Like Us, and it's just over. It's just absolutely over. And it was such a good rap battle. But the Super Bowl, okay, the halftime performance, because I know we get sidetracked very easily. The halftime performance was amazing. I know for the people who don't know Kendrick's music because they only listen to like whatever Hot 100 or I don't know what music you listen to, like NBA Youngboy. This is not the podcast for you. I definitely
could see a bunch of old, like, I don't know, a bunch of old white guys watching the Super Bowl were probably like, what is this?
But also the children, though, like the young 20-year-olds who just don't know culture and don't understand lyricism.
Yeah. Well, they know Not Like Us.
They do know that, and they don't know anything else. So the whole time he's performing these songs, which I know because I listen to all of Kendrick's projects, literally. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of GNX. I bought GNX when it came out. I was in New York celebrating my birthday in November when he dropped it. I listened to it that entire week, and I listened to it the entire week after that. And I was telling my friends, yo, this fucking album is not just like a Drake diss album or anything like that. It's just a good album of music. And and I was telling them, I was like, you got to listen to it. And everyone eventually did. Really, really good songs. So I knew the songs he was performing, and then he did, definitely threw some the diss tracks in there. Euphoria he performed, obviously Not Like Us. He teased it throughout, which I thought was so brilliant.
So they like to sue.
Also the intro with Samuel L. Jackson made me like,
oh my God, Uncle Sam.
It made me, I got like butterflies when it first started, and he was like, hello everybody, I'm your favorite uncle Sam, and the way he like tilts his head, he's in the little get up, the American get up, he's like, we're here to celebrate America's favorite game. And there's so much subtext to everything about, because he also played a house nigga in Django Unchained. For people who don't know what that is, so in the movie Django, which was an Oscar-winning movie, by the way, in the movie Django, Samuel L. Jackson plays the head slave, which is the slave that is in charge of other slaves, and a slave that will tell on other slaves if they do anything bad, if they try to escape or anything like that. He's the slave that is the most loyal to Massa. So Samuel L. Jackson has played this, and a lot of people refer to this role also as a coon. So if you ever hear black people calling other black people a coon, they're referring to black people who turn on their own race. Candace Owens is often referred to as a coon. So Samuel L. Jackson showing up in this American getup and constantly throughout the performance telling Kendrick not to be ghetto and loud, to be calm.
I see you brought your homeboys with you, huh?
Yeah. Like that. Oh, it was so well done. If you're paying attention to what the script is, you're paying attention to music, be humble. And then like they form the American flag, and then all the black people are kind of like bowing down as they're being told to be humble, and then they're kind of nodding their head the whole time. It's just so symbolic and so well done. Also, the video game motifs, every set of this performance, there was an X, there was a circle, there was a square, and there was a triangle. And the whole thing was the PlayStation controller, like the video game, because obviously, it is kind of like a game, it's been called a game very often, like the politics that we play, the race politics, the classism politics, is like a game. And so you see all the symbolism. There was Serena Williams, who was crip walking. She's Drake's ex. Yeah. Drake has dissed her and her husband multiple times now throughout the years for no reason, just antagonizing this woman. But his latest project, I think, For All the Dogs, he just like went after her husband, just like started talking about Serena Williams' husband. And so naturally she doesn't fuck with this guy anymore. He's just such a bitter light-skinned guy. And she made an appearance out of nowhere in a Not Like Us segment. She's crip walking. She was getting that shit. And I just was like, oh my fucking God, yo, Serena Williams. It was such an epic thing because I didn't think he was actually going to perform the song. I thought
listen, I said all I asked for Christmas was I need the Super Bowl crowd to scream A minor. That's all I wanted. And I knew there was not a chance in hell. I don't like Kendrick would have took the lawsuit, man. And maybe he did take the lawsuit.
I'm wondering about that. I think you're right.
Like, I knew there was no way the biggest song in the fucking world right now wasn't going to get performed.
The only thing that changed my mind, because at first I was like, there's no way he's going to perform it. The Grammys happened last Sunday, Kenny, and he won 5 Grammys for Not Like Us. And I said, oh, and I've been saying this all week. I said, oh, he's performing the song in the Super Bowl because they were playing it at the Grammys and everyone was saying A minor and Drake, I Hear You Like a Million. You saw Beyonce and her daughter and Jay-Z and Taylor Swift. They're all dancing to Not Like Us at the Grammys. There's footage of all these super A-list celebrities. I would even say S-tier celebrities all dancing to Not Like Us and screaming out the words to it at the Grammys last week. So when I saw that and the Grammys blasting it on every speaker in the theater, that made me realize there's no way he won't play it at the Super Bowl. What scared me is when the Super Bowl, I started to psych myself out, as I kind of do often. When the Super Bowl halftime show started to happen, and he was like, I want to play their favorite song, but they like to sue. And they kind of put on dun, 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 and then it stopped. I was like, oh, is that going to be all we get? Like, I thought for a second that was actually going to be all we got. But then as it unfolded, it got to that one point where Kendrick and the girls had a little back and forth moment. And then the song just fully came on. And I said, yo, he's doing it. But then I was like, how much is he going to go? Because that's the other question is like, how far is he going to go? I thought that he was going to cut it off really early. But then as soon as he got to the part where he said, say Drake. And then he smiles at the camera.
Fucking smile at the camera is so raw. Because I don't, unless Drake, and maybe he did do this, but unless he's like real sad, real bitch made, he was watching the Super Bowl. You know what I mean,
100%.
Like he had it on. Because I think he's too petty. He's too much of like he wants too much validation from people that I feel like he had to have it on. He was like, I have to see what happens. Is he going to do it? He knows I have a lawsuit. He knows I have Goldstein. Get the pen ready. He had
Goldstein. Even if he didn't watch it live, he definitely has seen the Super Bowl performance, the halftime performance.
Yeah. Oh man, it was the victory lap is just that's kind of like the big takeaway for me is that I've never seen such a victory lap in ever. Like
I don't think we've ever seen someone so big fall so far.
Yeah.
Like Jay-Z and Nas beefed, and at the time they were very big, but they weren't as big as they became eventually, especially like in the way they're viewed in the culture.
Yeah.
Because at the time in the 90s, like, you know, no one knew that rap was going to become the most popular form of music in the world. And now that rap is the number one genre of music just by actual sales and Billboard hits and all that stuff, it's so crazy to see like what it's become in terms of the artists who represent that, which is Drake, Kendrick, Cole, Travis Scott, Lil Wayne, all those guys. It's crazy to see how far they've taken it. But then with that comes the fall. And in other genres, there's not the same type of thing. Like in in country and in pop and stuff like that, you don't have these crazy beefs that are straight to the other person. They might throw subtle shade towards each other in pop music and in country music and stuff like that, but they don't just say Drake, I hear you like I'm young, you know?
Yeah.
You better never go to Cell Block 1. Like, it's blatant in hip hop.
Competition's not as much. Obviously, there's competition in the realm of like music recitals or something like that, right? But like direct competition, like it's a boxing match, isn't really a thing in other genres. I know that like bands, like Battle of the Bands, they used to do a thing and stuff like that. I'm not super familiar with that kind of feel, but even that was more so a battle of your musicality. It wasn't you like dissing the other band. It was you guys performing and being judged on your musicality and trying to outdo the other band. Whereas like rap is very unique in that they make songs that people will dance to, talking about like directly talking about you and how you suck and how you ain't shit and how you're a pedophile and how I'm going to shoot up your grandmom's house and all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah, rap definitely takes it there. And so it's very different, but we've never seen someone lose a battle so harshly outside of Ja Rule. Ja Rule is probably the most affected artist ever because his career really did just nosedive after that. And I think Drake will be fine. I mean, he might not be at the same level where he was just like selling outrageous amounts week one, like, you know, one of those artists that sells 1 million in the first week and all that. He might not reach that level again. Who knows?
Yeah.
But even if he does, to me, sales never really matter when it comes to rap, because I think it's just like you could be very popular and also not be that good, and you could be not as popular and be the best. And so I don't think popularity is the number one rubric or criteria to say like this person's better than this person.
It is have to use it as a factor.
It is a factor.
It's never the number one in my opinion.
Yeah, and I also think that context matters. Like for example, Eminem has like more album sales and more sales than most other rappers. Even though I would not say Eminem is the number one rapper ever, but like his sales are really high. But if you put it in a context, well, he caters to white people, and white people make up most of this country. Like black people are literally 11% of the entire country. So like,
he's got a huge
platform is
huge
big.
population.
Not to say that he's not good. Obviously, Eminem is actually one of the best rappers ever.
Yeah.
But in terms of if you were using sales to say Eminem is the best rapper ever because he's sold X amount, then what's going to happen? Two things are going to happen. One, Drake is just going to end up being the number one rapper because of, if we're doing sales, then it's Drake for sales. And so like, I don't think that's a good rubric because I don't really think that Drake is like, again, I think Kendrick is just a better rapper than Drake. But Kendrick doesn't sell the same amount in the week or in a month that Drake does. That doesn't mean that he's not better than him as a rapper. And so context, I think numbers without context are just kind of bullshit, but that's for everything. Like numbers without context and everything are bullshit. So
yeah, and I mean that's why people use statistics to lie to you. People will use actual statistics that actually like the statistic is real, but then they use that to lie to you because once again the numbers don't tell the whole story, and you can put whatever story you want around those numbers. Like for example, what you said with Eminem, I think somebody could make the argument that he's the best rapper ever or one of the best rappers ever or whatever based on his rap. But if you use sales, I don't think that's a good metric because Eminem himself has even said in one of his songs, he says, if I was black, I would have sold half. I didn't have to graduate from whatever high school to know that. Like Eminem, his whole career has acknowledged the fact that like in order to break through as a rapper, it was difficult being white because nobody wants to hear a white rapper. But then after I broke through, it made my career so much easier because like I broke through, and then it was like I was able to get so many more sales because I was white.
For example, like I don't think Taylor Swift is the best artist to ever live, but she has broken Michael Jackson and Prince's and Stevie Wonder's. She is the most album of the years out of any artist that's ever lived, but there's no world where you can convince me that Taylor Swift is the best artist that has ever lived on this planet. There's no fucking world.
When I tell you, and listen, Taylor Swift, she makes fine music.
Yeah, her music is fine. It's just not the best of all time. Like that's crazy. But sales will tell you otherwise.
In terms of a musician, and I'm not trying to hate, she doesn't even stand on the same dirt that came from the mountain as Prince.
Right.
Like when I tell you she's not even remotely close to Prince, like it's so I just think if you compare those two, if you go back and look at like Prince performing, it's just not fucking close. Like it really isn't close. Like his musicality and the instruments he could play and what he could do. Like, I mean, fuck, Jamie Foxx. I think Jamie Foxx is a fucking...
Yeah, like there are many, many, many talented artists because she's not the best vocalist. She can't dance.
No.
What she is good at, though, is songwriting. She's very good at songwriting and composition of a song, like what makes a good pop song and stuff like that. I'll give her that. But she's won Album of the Year more time. Like Stevie Wonder, I think, won it 3 times or something. And he had the record, and then she broke his record. Now she's won it 4 times. And it's just, like, I'll listen to Taylor Swift's music, and it is the same type of music. It's still catered towards teenage white girls who broke up with some guy in high school, but she's now 40 years old, still singing about that. And I get it. She's extremely popular. And in today's world where social media is such a weapon, like artists are bigger now than they were before because of social media and the ability to connect with so many people at once.
And she's such a darling, like for the media, for Hollywood, right? She's just such like a unassuming, like basic darling.
She is, yeah.
It does a lot for her. So I am in full agreement. Yeah, like I've never put much stock in sales. I think Titanic, Avatar, and Avatar 2 suck.
Oh,
I think it's fucking terrible. They're like the best-selling movies of all time.
Yeah, Avatar being the number one selling movie is so crazy to me because it's not even like, it's not good. Like, I don't know.
It's just crazy. So, listen, there's a couple things you can expect in the IMNerd podcast. One of them is us to talk about Game of Thrones and One Piece. The other one is for me to shit on James Cameron.
Yeah, any chance he gets. But I do.
If I get a chance, I'm going to shit on Avatar. But yeah, so anyway, we're in agreement there.
I feel like maybe the name James Cameron makes people like he's so popular, I guess. I don't really get why his movies end up doing so well because
me neither.
I don't get it. I'm just leave it there.
Like he did Titanic, which like maybe I just wasn't the right age. Like maybe it was groundbreaking for the people at the time, but like when I watched Titanic, I fucking struggled to stay awake. Yeah. And I tried watching it multiple times. It's a very boring movie. It's really long. And then he made I don't remember if he made Terminator 1 and 2 or just like Terminator 2. I think he made Terminator 1 and 2.
He's the Terminator guy? That explains a lot, because those movies are really held high, especially in the sci-fi genre and in the fantasy genre.
So I think he did Titanic, and then I'm sure he has other shit. But like Terminator and Titanic, and then it was like he wanted, like Taylor Swift, he became a darling.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And once you're on that level,
a darling, it's easier to win.
Because you can put out bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did put out bullshit.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, I think we hit the nail on the head with this one. Like, sales and numbers are just not, out of context, are not a good measure of something being actually good, because sometimes bad shit just appeals to the masses.
Mm-hmm.
And it might take them a while to realize, like, oh, this isn't actually that good. Like, at some point, right, a popular artist who sells the most, at some point oftentimes they start falling off. You have to figure out, like, where did it begin, though? Where did the decline in quality happen? And I think for a lot of people, for Drake, the decline in quality came when he got so big that that's all he talked about.
He became he just became a typical, like, he bragged a lot.
Yes.
A lot of his songs was him bragging, and it's like, that's not very, at least to me, that's not very interesting. I can do a good brag song here and there.
Yeah, me too.
Every
once in a while.
But like, I felt like all he did was brag, or like take random cheap shots at like Serena Williams, like shit, like random shit that nobody fucking cares about.
Right.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, once his rap became very unrelatable and just about how much money he has, how big his house, and how many cars, and the 22-year-old women that he's fucking and stuff like that. Once it became about just that, it was very hard to say that the quality of the music was as good as when he was, in his first couple albums, which I think are really, really good albums, because I mean, most artists, their best work is going to be in their first couple projects. They're so hungry at that time. And then over time, obviously you expect the artist to grow and to change, but you'd be hard pressed to say that Eminem's last album is better than like the Marshall Mathers LP or the Eminem Show and stuff like that. Like, you'd be hard pressed to say that.
His first three are fucking crazy.
That's what I'm saying. So it's hard. Yeah. Their first albums are always going to be like Reasonable Doubt and The Blueprint. I mean, it's hard to say that like 444, which is a good album. It's hard to say that 444 is better than The Blueprint for me. Like, The Blueprint when I look at that track list on The Blueprint, I'm like, how is this all on one album?
Yeah, The Blueprint's crazy.
Like, how is that all on one album?
I remember, for whatever reason, I know the reason why. If you don't know the history, I'm not going to go through the whole thing right now because it's a long thing. But Magna Carta Holy Grail was like really, really, really anticipated. And that's also a fine album. I enjoyed it. There's songs on there I like. There's some bars on there.
Yeah.
But like, I remember at the time there's people comparing it to the Black Album. And I was like, well, that's not.
Yeah, like, can we not do that?
I was like, that's not.
It's not even close.
I was like, it's not the Black Album. Like,
no.
That's crazy.
It's not Reasonable Doubt either. Like,
no, it's definitely not reasonable. Bro, Reasonable Doubt is so good. Like, it is crazy how fucking good that album is. Like, every single song, start to finish, it's Reasonable Doubt is my favorite Jay-Z album. I know that's cliche to say, like, oh, his first album, but like, Reasonable Doubt is that fucking good, man. Yeah. It is crazy.
It's just, when you look at these track lists back then, and you're like, how is this all on one album? And same thing with Kanye. Like, you'd be hard pressed to say that Vultures, which is his latest project, you'd be hard pressed to say that Vultures is better than Graduation or College Dropout.
Yeah.
Or
to give Kanye credit, he has one of the best runs, I think, in history. He has like, I think it's 5 albums in a row that are crazy, uncontested. Like 5 uncontested albums in a row. Are just so fucking
Even
good.
808s and Heartbreaks is in that first 5. And at the time, people might not have realized how good that album is, but that album is also insane. And also the sound that he used during that time, which was so ahead of his time, ended up becoming the sound of music anyway. So yeah, I mean, we've been nerding out for almost an hour now on just, the Super Bowl and music, but I do love talking about this type of stuff as well. So I hope you guys are at least enjoying this conversation. So halftime performance was great. So far things have been great. Beyonce won Album of the Year. She won Best Country Album. I thought that was hilarious. A lot of people were upset about that, but obviously I'm happy about it because I like when people are mad when anything like that.
I gotta get around to listening to that album one day. I still haven't heard
Cowboy Carter. Yeah, it's a good album. Yeah. It's typical good music. Like, you would be surprised to hear music that you're generally like, this is bad music. It is just good music.
Yeah.
That's what people have to understand. These artists who are at the top of the game, they just make good music.
Yeah. Beyonce, like, say what you will, like, if you hate, if you're like a hater, I think Beyonce has cemented herself at this point where like she's really good.
Yes.
Like, she puts out really good stuff. She's a great singer. She can dance.
Yep.
She has a lot of money. So let's just say, like, I don't know how much of her music she writes, but let's just say she doesn't write any of it.
Yep.
I don't know what way it goes. but she has enough money now where if she's going to make a country album, you better believe it's going to be a good one.
Yeah,
like, I
she
don't think
has
there's
some
a
of the
genre
best.
she could do that she'll do badly.
Yep.
Because of how talented she is, and then how much money she now has.
I
you put
agree
that
with this.
talent and that money together, she's going to it's going to be good.
And she cares a lot too about her craft. She releases documentaries after every album, usually in theaters now, but she'll release a documentary showing the making of everything. And you get to see her craft and how much work she puts in, especially to performances like the Super Bowl, not the Super Bowl. It's crazy because she performed on Christmas for the NFL, which felt like a Super Bowl performance, honestly. But that performance, she had a whole Christmas special, and she performed the country album during that Christmas special, and it felt like a Super Bowl halftime show. But she puts in so much effort and so much time. And like you said, the people who are around her, the producers, the songwriters and stuff like that, they're so talented because she has the means to get the most talented people. So like the project is also just going to be good if you like good music. And if you go into it wanting to hate on it, or because you're just like, I don't like this person for whatever reason, because people are kind of ridiculous. They kind of hate on celebrities that they don't know for like these weird reasons. Yeah, that's
people
true.
Don't like you.
That's true.
Like,
what
once
is
you're
that,
too
though?
successful, everybody will root for you. Everybody roots for you when you're on the come up. When you're coming up, people are rooting for you. Oh, dude, you can do it. Blah blah blah. But once you make it, once you're successful, then they start like hating you. They start being like, oh, he got a big head now. Like he thinks
that's interesting. The human brain, the way it works with that. Like once the person that you've been supporting for so long reaches a level that just too big. I don't know how else to describe it. Once they reach a level that is too big to you, the hate starts to come in, and it's so strange because it comes from people who used to support you a lot of times too.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's cliche, but it is true that what's the saying? It's like your biggest hater, or like your biggest haters are your biggest fans, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
or the people closest to you oftentimes are some of the biggest haters that you'll have. Like you'll tell a stranger, or a stranger will be happier for you about something that you've achieved in life or just accomplished or whatever. Yeah. But then you'll notice, and this is something that is sad as you get older, but you'll notice as you get older, like some of your friends, and I'm using air quotes, they're not happy for you when you do things that are like good for your life, or you're accomplishing things and stuff like that. You'll notice the energy when you share good news with people who knew you, because, and I love this, I saw this quote years ago and it always stuck with me. It was something like, the reason why the people that you grew up with are not happy to see you make it in life is because you came from the same place as them, had the same struggles as them, so they can't understand how it was you who made it out over them. And that causes resentment. Like there are people who knew a lot of the celebrities, like people who made, let's use Jay-Z as an example. Jay-Z grew up in, New York, grew up in the Marcy Projects, and obviously didn't have a lot, turned his life around, however, drug dealing, doing everything, then becomes this world famous rapper, and then becomes Beyonce's husband, and then becomes a billionaire. And there are people who literally saw him growing up in the projects and like knew him in the projects, who are just confused on how this guy, who I saw literally slinging dope and just like looked like his life, the trajectory of it was going nowhere, and then he becomes one of the biggest people in the world. Like some of those people might be really inspired by that, but then on the other hand, there are people who literally resent you because of it.
And it's also, it's crazy because it's not even just resenting you and your success. Some of them might resent the fact that, why wasn't I was his friend? How come I'm not Memphis Bleak?
Right.
Because that's the other thing. You got like your Memphis Bleak or your Tony Yayo, who basically they stuck by their king, and they just wrote it up. Like Tony Yayo never has to want for anything in his life ever again because of 50 Cent.
They're still cool like that? I didn't know that. Because I know that he fell out with what's the one that likes trans
He fell out
people?
with all of them. Banks,
Young Buck. Yeah, Young Buck, I know him and Young Buck had something very recently, years ago, where Young Buck was having problems paying his bills, and then it somehow like it came out that he was into transgender people, and I was like, I don't know why this matters. Like, who cares that if he likes that, so what? But that was like a big thing.
Young Buck was like, he was just a G Unit signing. He was just like he wasn't from New York. He's from the South. He was somebody that G Unit signed for more appeal in the South, essentially. He's not like 50 Cent's like ride or die. Tony Yayo used they and 50 Cent grew up together. Like Yayo slept on 50's couch, you know what I mean? Like
so they really knew each other.
Yeah. So like when he got out of prison, they were still with like heavy heat with like Supreme and in New York and everything. So Yayo gets out of prison, hasn't done anything. He has nothing. Gets out of prison, 50 Cent buys him like one of those super $1 million apartments like somewhere, puts him up there, and and they have their falling outs, but like they're ride or die forever. Like that's like they're like brothers. And anyway, Memphis Bleak is the same way with Jay-Z, basically. Like Memphis Bleak, he had a career, but for the most part, he didn't really pop. He didn't really go anywhere, but he always stayed close with Jay-Z. And then because of that, he's kind of always taken care of. Like, I'm sure Jay-Z makes him work for it in some way, but like Bleak is good. All that to say, I'm sure there's people in the hood that were friends with Jay-Z that were like, damn, why didn't I? How come he didn't take care of me? Like he took care of Bleak. And it's like, well, Bleak probably went on every fucking tour with him. He was there at every single show. Tyler, the Creator, too. Jasper the Dolphin. I think Tyler said every single show he's ever done, Jasper's been at. Like every single show Jasper has gone to and like been at and helped and supported and whatever. So like Jasper's not a singer, a songwriter, a rapper, but like he's like the super close guy to Tyler. And so I'm sure there's people that hate Jasper for his relationship with Tyler.
And that's the thing too, where you want to have people in your life that you got it out the mud with, or you knew them before you got as big as you get.
Yeah.
I think that's important. Like I always said to myself, if I ever became super big and like rich and famous or whatever, my core friends, and all you guys know who you are, but my core friends would all be taken care of in that same way, because that's just like what I believe in. I'm one of those people. Like I've watched way too much anime. I want mine to come with me. Like I don't like new friends. Everyone knows this about me. I'm very standoffish when it comes to new friends. I'm not a new friend kind of guy. I think my newest friend is Eric, because he just has such a good personality, and he just kind of he blends perfectly into my group of friends. Whereas like a lot of people, I'll meet them and like, yeah, he's cool or whatever. Like I see why people like this person, but they're not for me. They're not going to be one of my friends. Like I'm cool with them. We could do a video here and there. We could chit chat, but like friend is a strong word to me. I always hold that word very it's very near and dear to me. So there's just a lot of people that I would only want to have with me. And if I ever make it to that end game where I'm in, rich and fameville or whatnot. And to kind of circle back to the Drake thing. So right now, Drake is in a very vulnerable spot. I've noticed that he surrounded himself by the people that he grew up with, who they've always been around, but not as around as they are now. I feel like what he's done is cut all the snakes out of the grass, because obviously somebody was leaking things out of his camp, because Kendrick knew about his records before they came out. So that's one, you have a mole, which Kendrick also alluded to in one of his disses. But the other thing is like, as you've gotten big in this industry, a lot of people are fake, and you're finding it out in the worst way. Like a lot of the industry has turned against you. A lot of them were only with you as much as you could help them get number ones and boost their careers. And now that they have used you up as much as they can, because there was the Drake stimulus package. If he was on your song, like your song just did better than if he wasn't on it. Little Baby got the stimulus package. Like Meek Mill at one point got the stimulus package. A lot of rappers, a lot of artists have gotten a Drake stimulus package. And so when all these people kind of turned on him at the same time, he's probably super shocked about that. And now he's like, fuck this industry. I am only surrounded by literally my absolute best friends that I grew up with. So he's been posting a lot of like childhood photos, teenage photos with the friends who are on tour with him right now in Australia. And they weren't always around him as he was coming up and getting this big, but they are again now, because he's like, this is what I assume this is what happened, but it's like, bro, I don't trust anyone. So I need you guys around me, because I went out in the world and I thought I was hot shit, and I made all these new friends who I thought were my real friends. None of them were. And so now I'm alone. Like I'm vulnerable. I need to be surrounded by people who I actually can trust, who knew me before this.
But on the same coin, maybe some of those people would have been his real friends. I don't know how much of this is true. It's all gossip. But apparently Drake wasn't a very good friend to a lot of these people either.
This not like even if it's true.
He's
always
just trying to fuck someone's girl. Like
he's
doing something behind someone's back. Like,
little bottom. Drake has been Drake has been messy for a long time, and this is no secret, because he's thrown shots at Rihanna. And this is on one of his recent projects. It might have been on For All the Dogs Again. There's one song where he's just going in on Rihanna in the beginning. Like, it's blatant. So it's a minute. It's the intro to the song. I wish I could remember which one it was. I don't want to even pull out my phone and spend time looking for it. But one of the songs starts off, it's a minute of him going in on Rihanna. He's talking about her blatantly. And he's also talking about A$AP Rocky, because him and Rocky don't like each other. He's throwing shots at Rocky, saying like how he'll never be me. And then he's been throwing shots at Serena Williams throughout the years, and Serena Williams' husband. And he's throwing shots at all these other people and all of these other friends, air quotes, that he's had in the industry over years. And so it always has been like, yo, this guy is messy as fuck. So now that he's getting a taste of his own medicine, and yes, it is all happening at once. Because if it was one opponent, he would be fine. But the fact that everyone rose up against Drake and was like, yo, we collectively as a group do not fuck with this guy. And Kendrick is just like the final nail in the coffin, because Kendrick, you can't out-rap him. Whereas you could out-rap like Ross and The Game and whoever else is a naysayer. You can't out-rap Kendrick.
Nope.
And I'd argue you wouldn't have been able to out-rap J. Cole if he actually wasn't fucking scared to actually just go. If he wasn't afraid to say the things that need to be said. Like Kendrick took it to hell.
Apparently he can't outperform him either, because maybe somebody would have argued, well, Drake can outperform Kendrick. Well,
no. It's just a no. It's just a no. So I think like
Mustard.
I love that it uses the Ultra Instinct beat. I still can't get over that. Dun, 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 dun. So good. But okay. I guess we spent like a good amount of time now talking about all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You want to transition? We have some listener letters. So if you guys would like to have us read out your listener letters on the show, please write into imnerdpodcast@gmail.com. That is our inbox. You can write anything in, and we will read it aloud on the show, assuming it's not something crazy. So far, we haven't got anything too crazy, but we've had all types of listener letters throughout our years doing the show, and I love it. So we have 3 here. They're all from Austin Cruz. Sorry that it took us so long to get to these, but we like to let them sit for a little while before we actually empty the clip on the listener letters. First up, we have toxic relationships. So this one was an episode that we did just talking about, obviously, being in a toxic relationship with people and how you get taken advantage of. I forget who exactly was it that was in something really toxic. We were talking about some incident that happened, and it was like
I do remember the conversation, but I don't remember.
Like something in this, because this is in December. This letter was written December 27th, 2024. So it was at the very end of the year, and it was focused around people being in a toxic relationship and like how, don't just take one person's side, because oftentimes they're both responsible. Oh, divorced over Yu-Gi-Oh! We were talking about that divorced over Yu-Gi-Oh! Video that went viral. Shout out to him, by the way. He reached out to me at YCS Orlando, and we ended up doing like a quick video, like a quick little 5-minute video, because he had his camera on him. And so shout out to him. I know his channel has reached over 100,000 subscribers since that video went out, and he got his channel back and everything like that his fiance or wife made him sell at the time, which was crazy. But shout out to I don't know how to say his name. It's Japheth or whatever, but Clark. I'm going to call him Clark. Shout out to Clark. Can't wait to see that video when he puts it out. But this says, so I've definitely had my fair share of toxic relationships. To be fair, I share a lot of the blame since I'm attracted to red flags. Oh boy. Can I just tell you that I also happen to be attracted to red flags? Like, this resonates with me. The first line already. I'm already hooked because I have a problem. My type is just not good for me. But like, they're my type nonetheless. Like, oftentimes my type is just not good for me. They're not as ambitious as I am oftentimes. They often don't want the same things in life as I do. And like, but they look so good. And as I've gotten older, I've slowly been getting away from the physical aspect of people and more into like who they are. So my last couple of people that I've been dating, they still look good. But like,
he's like, don't get it fucking twisted.
Yeah. Like,
I don't want to look good,
because I don't want to be taking shots at them. Like, oh, like I dated this person and they were kind of ugmug. Like, no, they still look good, but they might not be I have like an exact type of what I want. Like these features are what I like, right? And sometimes I'll dip out of that because the person's personality is just better, and maybe even they have their life together more than like what my exact type usually does. So there's that. But anyway, this letter goes on to say, like, I even think I'm attracted to redheads because they look like a literal walking red flag.
That's crazy.
It also doesn't help. I'm a guy with a lot of girlfriends as well. I didn't realize until my last relationship when the girl I was dating didn't want me messaging my girlfriends unless she was also good friends with them, even though she's someone with a lot of guy friends. Okay, so that's wild. That I was going to say, I have never been in a position where the person I'm dating has a lot of friends that I'm kind of insecure about, but that's also because I'm gay. And I feel like I either end up in one or two scenarios and they're both fine. Either the guy that I'm dating has a bunch of guy friends and I don't care because I'm not really threatened by other guys, or they have a bunch of girlfriends and I'm super not threatened because they're literally girls. And like,
and he's gay.
Right. So I've never felt this is definitely a more hetero thing that happens where, a guy has a girlfriend and she has friends that are guys, and then the guy, the boyfriend is obviously intimidated or like insecure about it because, a lot of times guys will try to fuck you even when you're just friends. Like at some point they might just try to pull a fast one and be like, yo, let me get that.
Yeah, true. I have a question for you though, because that is kind of a good point, and I don't have any perspective on this. But like you said, you're gay, so you're dating guys, right? In general, guys tend to have guy friends. So maybe not for you, but do you feel that comes up a lot? Like, is there a lot of maybe trouble or distrust in the gay community where, a person's boyfriend, like all of their friends are guys, and then like your boyfriend might want to fuck some of them because you get what I'm saying? The same way that you might be
I see what you're saying
about your girl having friends with guys. If you're dating a guy and all his friends are guys, obviously the guy likes guys. Anyway,
let's start off by saying that a lot of gay relationships are not monogamous to begin with.
Okay.
We as a community have been very big on not conforming to heteronormative relationships and just the ideas that heterosexuals have about what a relationship needs to be. And I think that this is healthy too, because why are you modeling your relationship over something that you're not? So like men and women have been, together and marry each other and date each other and all that stuff. And usually the woman takes a submissive role and the guy takes a dominant role. And that's typically how most hetero relationships go. Well, a lot of gay people also have emulated that exact thing where you have one guy, usually referred to as the bottom, who's a submissive person, and then you have the guy who's the top, usually the dominant person. But then some relationships don't have a dominant and a submissive person. Maybe you guys, maybe neither one of you is submissive. Maybe you're both like, yo, we're both leaders in our own right. We both have our own head on our shoulders where like, I don't like being submissive and you don't like being submissive either, which I'm fine with. Maybe I'm attracted to you because you're not submissive and you're attracted to me for the same thing because you like that kind of energy. You like masculine, dominant energy. And so it's possible for two guys who are not submissive at all to be in a relationship. So then it's like, well, if there's no submissive person in this situation, then like, why are we trying to follow, oh, well, I'm the girl in this relationship when I don't, first of all, like, that's just a huge no. Like, you're never going to have me as the girl in the relationship because my personality, the way I am is not going to be like that. But then on top of that, like monogamy and things like that is obviously different from person to person, from relationship to relationship. But the idea of monogamy, the idea of you belong to me, therefore you can't have sex with anyone else. And all of these things that are just, again, heteronormative values and the way relationship guides are, they don't necessarily apply. So I say all of that to say, of course, in my life now, especially in my 30s, I have in the past encountered men who are intimidated or insecure about the fact that my guy friends might be attractive or whatever. But I tell them, and this is just the truth. Most of my friends are actually straight, and I don't say that on like some like I'm not even. That's
You're
not like
trying to be sneaky. You're not trying to
like most of my friends are just straight. I mean, you know this because you're one of my friends, but like, I don't have a bunch of gay guy friends to begin with. So a lot of my friends don't actually want to have a sexual relationship with me anyway. So if you're my boyfriend, you don't have anything to worry about in that regard because my friends have never really tried to fuck me because they genuinely don't. Yeah. They're not into guys.
Of our direct friend group, and maybe I'm forgetting somebody and I apologize, but of our direct friend group, the only people I could think of would be like Aunt and Izzy. And you're not even like super duper close friends.
No,
with
I'm
them.
not. Yeah, like we don't hang out. I mean, we really don't hang out unless I'm hanging out with you. Like you're like a conduit to them. And even and again, even then, it's not like we don't see each other so often that it's like, yo, that you guys are always kicking and laughing with each other and having a great time. So and this doesn't really come up for me.
I have no idea how accurate this is from my perspective, but I've also felt like maybe this is just like me analyzing something that I'm not a part of. But I feel like if you're a gay guy, right, you might be in a situation where at the end of the day, percentagely, right, most guys aren't gay. And so you're already in a situation where most people aren't necessarily like up for a relationship or even up for a one night stand or anything like that.
Right.
I
mean, gay people tend to hang around other gay people. So I get the idea that most of the time, I know that I am not necessarily the norm when it comes to like gay guys. And a lot of people will let me know that all the time throughout my life. Like I am not the same as most other gay guys they met. In the sense that I don't just hang around, like a lot of gay people that I know hang around a bunch of other gay people, whereas I'm not like that. And it's not for any particular reason. It's just like, that's just how it crumbled. Like that's just how the cookie crumbled in my life.
I guess the point I was trying to say, and I wasn't 100% sure how to get there, but to like cut to the end, because I don't really know how to set it up. Let's just take you, Aunt, and Izzy as an example, right? All three of you, I wouldn't argue any of the three of you are ugly people, right? You're all gay, but in my experiences with all three of you, have never seen even a semblance of like sexual interest between any of those
we literally
three
don't have
toward
it.
each other.
It doesn't.
Like,
it's not
absolutely
even,
zero.
When I'm hanging around Anthony and Izzy, I don't even think anything sexual about them because they're just the same way you probably look at like Medina and Gary or Luke Feeney.
Yeah.
Like, or Kyra, like there's literally nothing. Like nothing happens when I'm around them in terms of like the way my brain or my body reacts to being around them. Like it's just not a thing. Like it's the same way you hang around your guy friends and you never even think like, oh, he's kind of hot or like I want to fuck. It just doesn't come up. And so that's kind of my point. I'm so secure with myself though when it comes to that type of thing. I don't check people's phones. I don't
same.
I don't tell you that you can't talk to someone. I don't tell you that you have to cut a friend off. They would have to give me a reason first for me to take that. But I will not preemptively say you can't talk or hang out with this person anymore, or because I'm just insecure about this relationship, or I have a hunch that this person's trying to fuck you and therefore I don't want you talking to them. That's just not how I've ever been. I'm just not insecure when it comes to relationships and stuff like that. I never have been.
I always felt as though if you can't trust the person you're with, right? Like, sure, maybe they know a scumbag that might try to like, they know that she's in a relationship or he, and they might try to like get with them anyway, right? But you have to be able to trust the person you're with because there's infinite people in the world. Someone's going to try to talk to them.
Yeah.
And you have to trust the person you're with to like be their own person and not cheat on you. Now, that said, so basically my point is you just have to trust the person you're with, and you can't be like, you can't talk to that person because I know they want to do whatever. It's just like, you also just have to have trust in them, except for if you think that person is a super scumbag and they might like try to drug you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that's the case, then it's like, yo, he's crazy. I know he roofies people. Don't go near him.
Right. Extreme circumstances always could exist. But yeah, in my life, I've never really had the problem of like, oh, you know, this person wants me to stop talking to you because they think that we might have a sexual relationship. Now, if I have a friend now who I used to date or be with, I would just make that known if I felt like it mattered, because I don't want my partner to, it would be awkward if my partner was around me and a guy that I'm dating, or I should say, if the guy that I'm dating is around me and a friend of mine who I used to be in a sexual relationship with, which has happened. I'm bringing this up because it has happened before, where I've dated someone and like we broke up, but then we became friends, and like we have not revisited that part of our like relationship ever again. So it's like, okay, if we're going to be around each other, I feel like if I feel like I'm serious about the person I'm currently dating, I'll let them know, like, just by the way, we used to have a thing. It's not a thing anymore. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how I am. But you also don't even have to do that, honestly. If you know, it's everyone has their own discretion. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. Everyone's different. Everyone has a different thing about everything.
Do what works for you.
It's interesting because I you know, there's different things with everybody. Relationships are a funny thing.
They are, because there's no rules, and that's what people have to understand.
Yeah.
Like the whole, even in 2025, I don't think that the whole role of like, oh, women take care of the house and men go out and work. I feel like nowadays, we both need to work, because times have changed. I just
relationships have to change today, bro.
Oh God,
Jesus. All I'm saying is that the price of groceries haven't gone down yet.
No,
that's all I'm saying.
No, they have not. Yeah, I think that like times have changed, so relationships have to change. And I have different views on monogamy and things like that anyway, where like the idea of, oh, I have to be just committed to you forever and I can only ever have sex with you and stuff like that. Like, sure, that works for some people. Doesn't work for everybody. And as I listen to like as I listen to more relationship people talk and podcasts, and as I read more books and things like that about this topic, it's just changed my mind on a lot of things that I used to, you know, when I was younger, I had exactly what I learned. I learned, you know, you grow up, you marry, you move in, you live together, you die together. And that's just kind of the conventional relationship. But clearly that doesn't work for more than half the people who do it. Like, actually, like more than a coin flip of the time.
Divorce rate is crazy high.
Yeah, like more than half the people who do that does not work for. So like, I think that people just aren't accepting that times have changed and the old standards, the old rules don't apply anymore. You have to change things up for yourself. Whatever that means for you, whatever that means for you, do that, you know, whatever works. Anyway,
you don't got to go get married out of wedlock or whatever. Cause like, oh, I got her pregnant. I got to go get married.
Yeah. Or you don't have to get married at all. Honestly, like you don't have to live together either. There's just so many things. Like one of you doesn't have to be submissive and the other one has to be dominant and all that. Like, there's no, oh, I have to take care of the house and you have to go out and work and you pay all the bills and I just look pretty or whatever. And just like all of these old standards and rules don't they don't really make sense anymore, in my opinion. Okay, so I'm going to continue.
If you want to live your life that way, that's fine.
Yeah, if it works for you, great. Like if that works for you, I want people to do what works for them. Okay, so what I thought was crazy about this listener letter, because I'm not done reading it, but just the part where he said like she wanted him to stop talking to his girlfriends, but then she had guys who were friends, and she didn't never bring up like, oh, I'll stop talking to him because I know I'm doing this to you, so like it's a double standard type of thing. Anyway, the last line here, he says, but she also dressed up as Bunny Bulma at a gaming convention, so it was very off and on for 5 years. Okay, so like she clearly, you know, likes to look good in front of other guys or whatever, and that's fine, right? Like I'm all for that. Honestly, if I was with someone, I want them to look good because that's a representation of me. Like, look at how good my taste is. You know, this person looks good. I want people to all go over them and all that stuff. But telling me that I can't be friends with someone that I've probably known longer than you is not going to work.
It's weird because the toxic thing here isn't that you have friends that are girls or she had friends that are guys. The toxic thing here is that she didn't want you to talk to a certain group of people, but she didn't feel the need to change the group of people she talked to.
Right.
And once again, it's always toxic when you want someone to change their life for you. When you get in a relationship with somebody, you have to, ideally, you're adding to each other's lives. You're not trying to break down and take away from what their lives already are. Yep. So whenever you get into a relationship with someone and then you want them to change all these things about their life, it's kind of like toxic. There was something else there that I wanted to bring up. I don't remember. Oh, well.
Yeah, but
it went away.
I mean, I think, he said a couple good things in here about just redheads being red flags, which I agree with. And having a lot of girls that are friends. I mean, I have a lot of guys that are friends and I'm attracted to guys, but not my friends. So I think that, you know, as long as you're dealing with like a mature adult, you don't really have to worry about that type of thing. And she should realize that. But some people are immature. Some people don't realize that, you know, just because you're like, well, if you like me and I'm a girl and you have girls that are friends, then you like them too. Like, no, have you not noticed that she looks nothing like you, that I have a type and things like that? Like that, you know, I'm not trying to fuck on everything that I see walking. Like, that's just crazy. But
oh, I remember this. So because you said obviously she likes to look good for other people, and that's fine with me because like if I have somebody that I think looks good, I want other people to think she looks good or they look good, right? You said something like that.
Yep.
That reminded me, I won't say who this person is, but I knew a woman who was attractive, right? Conventionally attractive. A lot of people thought she was attractive. And then she ended up with this guy. She ended up with a boyfriend who obviously he thought she was hot. And then as they were together though, the relationship got really toxic and he would like want her to cover up and like not wear certain things, not want other people looking at her. And then he would also like get her to eat more. He wanted her to like put on weight and like gain weight and like become less attractive. And it was so interesting to me because like he obviously got with this person because he thought she was hot.
Yep.
But then after he had her, he couldn't deal with the fact that other people thought she was hot and like wanted her to put on weight and like dress a certain way and all this other like super
I hate this shit. I hate this so much. This is like I
really
hate this.
bad. Really bad.
Yeah, that happens all the time. We kind of did a Jonah Hill deep dive a year ago or almost 2 years ago now, where Jonah Hill got with a girl who was hot. She was a surfer. She takes a lot of photos in bikinis and stuff like that. And you know,
I forgot about this.
Yeah, he approached her. They were in a relationship, but then she was getting a lot of attention. She still was posting the same photos where she would be like, you know, just in a bikini. She would post bikini photos, which is the same type of photos she was posting before he ever slid in her DMs. But when they got together, after a while, he told her straight up, hey, you can't post these photos anymore because they make me uncomfortable. And if you're going to be with me, you know, you have to stop doing that. And on one hand, and he also told her, let me full context. He also told her, if this is a problem for you, like if me telling you to stop is a problem, I am totally fine with ending things here. No love lost. Like I wish you all the best. But if we're going to be together, you can no longer do this. And that obviously is toxic as fuck because essentially he kind of like love bombed her. They were together for however long they were together, but she said she fell in love with him. And as someone who can fall in love with someone pretty quickly, like I understand that it's very possible that even if they were only dating like 4 months, like, okay, like you're in love with somebody after 4 months. That's totally reasonable in my eyes. So they were dating for a while. And then he drops this bomb on her like, you got to change the way you are. I do not want you dressing like this, and I definitely don't want you posting on Instagram like this. And if you do want to continue doing these behaviors, then we can no longer be together. On one hand, I agree with him saying, like, if this is a problem, then be with someone else because I can't handle it. Because he's letting you know up front, I am insecure about this. Flat out. Yep. No matter how articulate he tries to be about it, he's telling you, my ego is so fragile, and I'm so insecure about you posting that bikini picture that you literally posted all the time when you didn't know me, that I can't handle that. Like, I know myself, I cannot handle it. And so instead of like trying to forcibly change you and be in a relationship with you where I'm telling you can't do it and then we fight over it, I'm just telling you straight up, if you want to continue to do that, I'm just going to break up with you now. Go find someone who's accepting of that. But like, this is what it has to be for me. These are my rules. And I do think that it is absolutely okay to tell somebody flat out, I'm not going for this. Because there are certain things that I also don't go for. Let's be clear. I know I'm very open and like, oh, I don't care about certain things, like I have all my own stuff that I have for me. But there's also things that I don't go for as well. And if you're a person that's like, well, that's not a thing, like I have to do that, then it's like, okay, well then we can't be together, and that's fine. Like, I'm not mad at you because that's who you were before I met you. I'm totally reasonable in that sense to tell you that, but her argument was, you already made me fall in love with you and then you tell me that. So it's kind of fucked up to do that to me.
You were being upfront when you brought it up, but you weren't upfront in terms of like it actually being upfront. Like it wasn't until months later. Yeah.
Tough.
Tough shit.
Okay. You want to read this next one? December exclusive?
Yeah. Let's see. December exclusive. Talking about putting on happy weight, which I had in my last relationship. However, with as skinny as I am, that actually put me just under the lower end of a healthy weight for my height. Although this made me feel like I was heavy because I moved up to a 32 waist. Damn, you moved up to a 32 waist?
Yeah, that's
I ain't
crazy.
been a 32 waist in a while. Which was a little snug if I had shirt tucks on the pants. Now 32 is barely fit. Depending on how long it was since I last ate, I will actually start to sag a little from being too big. A lot of it is having really sensitive taste, probably due to my autism. I have such issues trying food, like I could never judge a cooking show because someone will lose simply because they put mushrooms on a dish. Well, you ain't maybe me too. Okay?
Yeah.
Because
I'm not eating
mushrooms
mushrooms.
are fucking terrible. And not the fun kind. Now, there's definitely foods I enjoy, but in general, if I could live without having to worry about eating, it would be so much easier for me.
I agree.
Food actually doesn't really do anything for me other than curb hunger, which is really how I tend to eat. My ex knew my palate enough where she could guide me into trying new foods. I will say I have a huge sweet tooth. So sweet, my buddy said I would be allowed to bring Kool-Aid to a cookout after seeing me 2 packs of Sweet and Low in Mountain Dew. That's wild. You put Sweet and Low in a Mountain Dew.
That's one of the sugariest drinks you could possibly have, and to put more sugar in it is insane, Alston. Wow.
When I was like really, really, really young, I remember I would put like a teaspoon or a tablespoon of sugar in my Frosted Flakes, which is crazy.
My god. Actually, no, wait, that was normal. You're right. Yeah. I did the same thing.
But it's crazy in hindsight.
It is. It's like putting sugar in a Tahitian treat.
It's like putting sugar in sugar, bro.
A Hawaiian punch. It's like putting sugar in sugar. It is like putting sugar in sugar.
It's like, oh, this brown sugar needs a little bit of white sugar.
Yeah, like, literally is like putting sugar in sugar, because I used to do the same things. Cheerios, same thing. They just weren't sweet enough for me. And I'm talking about Honey Nut Cheerios. Like, I put sugar in Honey Nut Cheerios, the ones that are actually sweetened already by honey. And I'm like, nah, not sweet enough for me. So
not sweet enough. Just throwing this one out there as well. Sleep is something else I wish I could. Shit, you ain't the only one. Wish I could live without. Like food, all it really does nothing for me other than curb being tired barely. I don't really dream or recall any dreams. And this was before I started smoking. I've finally had a handful of dreams since I started smoking, but those are few and far between. I also daydream constantly, even when talking to people. So let me just say this about dreaming. Last night I had a dream. Dreams are so weird.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys ready for this? My dream was this. I stole Pokeballs from Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G.
What the fuck?
For whatever reason, and we were in a school building. We were in school, and Biggie Smalls was there, and he had Pokeballs on his waist, and I stole them. And so I stole these Pokeballs, and I was running from them, and then him and his like entourage chased me, and I was like fighting them, and I like was fighting Biggie, and like I kind of beat him off, and then like
so crazy.
I was able to get away from him and run up these stairs. But then when I got to the top of the stairs, Wolverine jumped out, and I was fighting Wolverine. For whatever reason, Biggie Smalls employed Wolverine to kill me and get the Pokeballs back. So I had to fight the Notorious B.I.G. and Wolverine in school in order so I could steal these Pokeballs. Bro, I don't know what prompted this dream and why that was the plot of it.
My last dream was way more realistic and grounded, but it was a nightmare more like. I moved out of my apartment which is very rent controlled and very cheap compared to like.
This is already a nightmare because wherever you're moving to is not.
So this is why it was a nightmare. In the nightmare, I moved out of my apartment. I forget what got me to move out, but I moved out for what I thought was going to be grass is greener. And I get to a new apartment and I have different problems because no matter where you're at, you're always going to have problems, right? Like there's going to be some minor inconveniences where you live, no matter what. Mm-hmm. I moved to a new place thinking grass is greener and things were worse. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just move back. But when I went to move back, the rent was either so high or someone had taken my apartment. And so I couldn't have it back and I regretted it. And the feeling of dread, I'll never forget this dream. I woke up from this. Like the nightmare, I literally woke up out of my sleep because the dread feeling, I think, woke me up out of my sleep. The feeling of dread of losing my apartment and then not being able to get it back was so immense that I'm scared to move. I'm in real life.
He woke up and kissed the floor.
I was so happy when I woke up and I was still in my apartment because I love it here. I've been here for 11 years now. And like it is, again, it's rent control. So we don't have an issue of, inflation is crippling right now. Our apartment has gone up $1,000 or whatever the fuck people go through in New York and stuff like that, or wherever places that don't have this rent control thing. But like, yeah, the dream was too real. Maybe that's the reason why it was such a nightmare. It was too realistic. Like I could move out of my apartment at any point and I could go out and pay a lot more for rent and I could try to come back. And then it's like either someone took it because it's a great deal or it just went up in price because that's what happens. So
my dream wasn't, I've had super realistic dreams, but not the last one. The last one I was fighting Biggie Smalls and Wolverine for a fucking Pokeball.
Crazy.
I don't know what prompted that dream, but there it was.
So in 2021, this is during the pandemic and the beginning of 2021 specifically, I started dating someone and I had gained happy weight because we were dating for 4 months and I gained happy weight and I didn't realize how big I had gotten until it was really over, or really there was a photo that was taken towards the end of that relationship. And I was like, oh my God, like my face is so fat. Like I was blatantly, I just looked like a blimp and no one was telling me, but I would get comments about like, oh, like you must be happy and stuff like that. And it would kind of like people mean it as a compliment, I guess, but that shit just wasn't to me. And so, yeah, I went on a weight loss thing in 2021 and I got my body back to where I was comfortable with it. But in terms of pant size, the smallest I've ever been is a 29. I can't fit a 29 anymore unless I can't fit a 29 anymore. 29, let me be clear, I don't want to fit a 29 anymore. There's that. So let's start there. I think a 29 looks wild on a guy, at least a guy of my stature. Just not for me. But I used to wear 29 when skinny jeans were in. That was like the size that I would buy everything in, 29, 29, 29. And then if I wanted it baggy, I would buy a 30. Now I wear a 30 as my regular pant size, and then 32 if I want it to be baggy. And because I'm so into baggy clothes again, most of my pants that I've bought in the last year and a half have been size 32, and they kind of sag a bit if I don't wear a belt, but that's like the style that I like currently anyway. So like, it just works out, but 32 is not my actual waist size. And if I wear anything 32, like literally I have to pull my pants up multiple times a day. But I don't mind that because I think that certain looks require sagging anyway. That's a whole different discussion. But yeah, I mean, I love food. I don't have what you have, Austin, where you say like you only want to eat food to satiate yourself. I wish I could do that. And I think that's what like those semaglutides do to you. The Ozempics, Mounjaros, Wegovy, they make it where all your food noise goes away. And if you don't know what food noise is, that's just the thing where when you're eating, you're thinking about your next meal, or when you wake up, you're thinking about eating, or when you're about to go to sleep, you're thinking about what you're going to eat tomorrow. Food noise is a very real thing. I kind of suffer from that because I'm always thinking about what I want to eat, and I love sweets a lot. So even when I'm traveling to a place, I'm always thinking about like, oh, I'm going to Orlando. What special places that I can't get in Philly can I get in Orlando? People call that a foodie, but like even after I eat the thing that I went to Orlando to eat, I'm still thinking about, tomorrow we get to try this place. Like I'm thinking about food a lot of the day. Yeah. Food covers a lot of my thoughts. So yeah, love food. It also doesn't help that I can just like Uber Eats everything every day. So bad for me.
Yeah, I'm probably closer to Austin, but not as much. I do it like, it's fun to eat things that taste good, but like I wish I didn't have to eat. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, me too. I wish that I could just like eat only to satiate myself. I wish I could truly eat grilled chicken, rice, and broccoli every day like those fucking fitness people do. I wish I could meal prep and have the same thing 6 days in a row and it'd just be okay. Like I could just do that and nothing is wrong with that. My problem is my cellular device allows me to summon food of any kind, of any variety, every junk food, everything I want. It allows me to summon food to my doorstep and I don't have to leave the house for it. And honestly, I don't even feel the monetary part of it either because I use Apple Pay, and it feels like Apple's paying for it, even though they're not. So like,
even though they're not.
But when I double click that side button, that's like, do you want to use Apple Pay? It doesn't feel like it's my money. Like it feels like
this is toxic.
It feels like Apple pays for it. Like it's called Apple Pay, and it feels like Apple's really paying it. So
this is crazy.
So I just like, if I want a 20-piece nugget from Wendy's tonight, I'll just order it and not think about any of the consequences, whether that be weight gain or monetary wise, and I'll just get a 20-piece delivered. So
yeah, I remember the one time we went out to eat and you ate a lot and you were like, I just won't eat tomorrow. I was like, that's crazy.
Yes, that's also not okay. Like I'll just eat so much today that I'll like engorge myself and be like, all right, well, tomorrow I'm 24-hour fasting tomorrow.
Yep.
Crazy shit.
A little wild. But
okay, so we have one last listener letter here. This one says, great year for being a nerd. He says, first of all, I can totally see Nintendo doing a Banjo-Tooie like joke with the next Switch, calling it something like a Switch-a-2 or like a Switcheroo. Definitely excited for Monster Hunter as well. I'm taking a long weekend when it's released to binge it. Right now, in Sunbreak, I'm essentially in Asian difficulty when I do random matchmaking. When I go into a room, pretty much all the other names are written in characters. At this point, it's just me getting on every few days to keep from getting rusty. I'm also excited for the next Dark Pictures game. I'm a huge horror game fan, and the last one involved my favorite serial killer. They're a single-player, Telltale-like game. Special shout out to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Collection game coming on Switch. I'm buying specifically for nostalgia and QCR Harpy's Feather Duster. So this was written obviously before the Switch 2 was revealed in January, but we now know that it's just called the Switch 2. No special name, no Switcher-2 or Switcheroo or anything like that. Just the Switch 2. So not as exciting per se as like a special name for it, like the Wii and the Wii U. Just Switch and Switch 2. It all rhymes though, which is cool. Super excited for the Switch 2 though. I'm excited for that. Sakurai actually messaged to Kenny the other day. Now that you bring this up, so this listener is still on time somehow. So like this week, Sakurai tweeted out, there's a Nintendo announcement on April that is going to be like a Nintendo Direct, and it's going to talk about the Switch 2. Sakurai retweeted that date and put "oh" with an exclamation mark, like "oh." And I said that to Kenny, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like,
For context, because the one day we were in chat and Frazier was like, "Oh man, I can't wait for the next Smash game," and he's like talking about the next Smash game, like
as though it's coming out.
How we're talking about Monster Hunter, how like, "Oh, I can't wait for Monster Hunter to come out." Frazier's talking about the next Smash game like it's fucking announced.
Yep.
And I was like, Frazier, you better relax. Like, it's not even announced yet.
Right. Like we don't even have the Switch 2
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the Switch 2 is not even out yet. You're talking about the next Smash game. Like it's not real yet.
Yep.
And then a couple days later, Sakurai just like retweeted the Switch 2 date, and he was like, count your days or whatever. Like Frazier tagged me.
And I was like, count your fucking days. So
and then I just said like the shit's not real until like I see it. You know what I mean?
I mean that is true.
I'm not going to get excited because I remember when Smash Ultimate was coming out, I had so much fucking anxiety.
Yeah.
Just like waiting for it to come out. And there was just so much anxiety. I told you guys when Smash 4 was coming out for the 3DS, I literally went to GameStop and bought a fucking PlayStation Vita and a game for the Vita just so that I could have something to do for that month, like a game to play to like release the anxiety from waiting for the next Smash game.
Right.
I was like, I went and then I fucking, when Smash 4 came out, I returned that shit and got all my money back. I was like, they did what it needed to do. It was my therapy and it was free. But yeah, so until there's an official like, okay, there is really a Smash 6. There's like no excitement from me. I'm not like going to get amped. I'm not going to think about it. Oh, what would happen?
Yeah.
It's not real until it's real. When it's real, then I'll start putting myself through the ringer.
I mean, that makes sense. I just think that either Sakurai is being a huge troll, which he has been in the past, like he can be trolly, but I do think that it makes sense for this Smash game to kind of launch very close to the new system, because this new system has to do well. And I don't know what flagship game they will launch with it. There's not going to be a Zelda. Like there might be a Mario. We talked about all this already in a previous episode, so I don't think we need to rehash it. There's not going to be a Zelda.
Kart,
yeah,
I think it's going to launch with Mario Kart,
which makes sense. That's their big seller. We talked about this already.
Yeah,
Mario Kart makes the most sense. I think if you want to get the other half of the population, you just do Smash like soon after, and then you end up with all these casual people, and then all these competitive people. And then you have everybody. Then you have everybody playing the Switch 2. Everyone's playing. Everyone's here, literally. So, Mario Kart appeals to a certain group of people, and I think that Smash appeals to a different group of people. Sometimes the same people, sometimes there's overlap, obviously, but very different people play those games, and you would just hit both of the fan bases so hard. And I when I saw that tweet, I was like, oh shit. At the very least, I still think that there's a good chance for a Smash Ultimate Deluxe because they've done this before with the Mario Party thing or Mario. It was a Mario Kart. It was Mario Kart. They did this already with Mario Kart. So there's a precedent for original content on Nintendo products to have like a deluxe with the next system. Don't be surprised if Smash Ultimate just continues because again, it might be very hard to get all those licenses again for another new game. They just call it deluxe. It's not a new game.
There's a couple ways the next Switch can be super successful. Mario Kart is one of them. Another Smash is one of them. The next big Pokemon game.
Yep.
The next real Pokemon game, because we have a Pokemon game coming out, but it's like kind of a side game. The next like real Pokemon game, the next like 2-version game, Wind and Wave, whatever the fuck it's going to be, Scarlet, Violet, Red and Blue. I think that because like Pokemon it just outsells itself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so that's going to be big. That as much as like I think Zelda is a better game. Zelda never outsells Pokemon. This goes back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of numbers.
Well, does anything though?
Like, that's the thing. Like nothing's going to outsell Pokemon.
Like don't put Zelda in that conversation. Like they're fucking alone in that. Like does anything
I know, but I'm just saying. Like
nothing outsells Pokemon. Like have you? Oh
nothing
my god,
outsells Pokemon. Like it's
Pokemon's not. It's the fucking cheat code. Yeah, they should definitely.
That'll help the Switch do well. They got to make sure there's got to be a Pokemon in the oven.
Yeah, well, there is. There's a the leaks told us that there's a Pokemon in the oven. Gaia, and whatever the other one's.
But it's got to not come out on Switch.
Right. Yeah, I get what you mean. Because even though the Switch 2 is backwards compatible with some games, but it's still should not come out on that. Okay. I think that's everything we want to talk about. That's all the listener letters at the very least. And this was a really fun episode to discuss. Shout out to the Eagles for winning the Super Bowl again twice in our lifetime. And I'm hearing that the rumors the team is so good, it might happen again next year. The team is so fucking good. They're so cracked that a repeat is possible.
Maybe 2 years from now, they can be the three-peaters.
Right. That history in the making. So anyway, I'm going to give a shout out to the people on our Patreon at the Party Member Higher tier. Don't forget, guys, February 22nd at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be having the Trishula Cup. It's Edison format where you're allowed to play one copy of Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. And that's the only special rule. So build a deck that's Edison format and that's capable of summoning Trishula. And I want to see what people can come up with. And I want to see that monster get summoned in Edison format so we can answer the question, what would it be like if Trishula was an Edison? Anyway, let's give a shout out to, is it February 28th yet? So I already know, obviously, that's Austin. Austin is a huge Monster Hunter fan, as he said in his listener letters. We're all huge Monster Hunter fans here. So February 28th, I'm literally counting the days. There's 18 days until February 28th. It's going to be here before you know it. Super excited for that. Leon, Quest, Xavier, This Ain't God, This is Stanley Earl, Luigi Wick, Dom, Dragon Ruler of the side events, Gabe Marini, Henri Reynolds, First to Home, Hydro Pump, Vincenzo, Dallas Bailey, KJ, Fair Bear Flash. I'm assuming. So I was this is from Vincent Zen. Vincent, I know you also like Smash Bros. And you asked me to play Smash Ultimate soon, and I'm totally down. It's hard to play at events though because I'm always doing like multiple other things. All these people try to make plans with me at events, and it just doesn't usually pan out that way because events are chaotic a bit for me. But if the next time they have a YCS Philly, I'm totally down to play you in Smash Ultimate. And like I said, I'm not like some star player or anything like that, but like I know how to play the game, and it should be really fun between two casuals. This Fair Bear Flash makes me think of Wolf because I know he has Wolf Flash, and he can kill you off of certain setups with Wolf Flash. But I guess this is what this is, right? Like Fair Bear Flash. Correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe it's something else. Maybe it's like a fox thing, but I just think of Wolf when I see Fair Bear Flash. Sarah, Alex Ahern, no funny name this week, just plain old FT Kempa. Kyle Batoho, Gores in My Prison Pocket.
That's crazy.
Sugal, Vicky Venomon, Elijah Barfall, Tal Tadeo, Volvi the Mega Monarch, Cedric, Janitor 215, Joshua Carroll, Eric Chive, Brian Moore, Behind the Duel This Podcast with Ty and Justin, Mike and John, Free Tim. Oh wait, hold on, wait. This is your part, Kenny. I was about to intrude.
Free Tim Bailey's glazed smooth butt. Nah, I'd win. B-Dog 23, Hershey Bar, Phil, and Poister, Romeo Snyder of Team Hugh, Tyler Frasher, Daniel Anderson, Deroa, Chicken Toaster Strudel, Jordan Eastman, Robert Light, Kaz95, Clanger, Pavinci, Travis Lurs, Gores on My Lap, HC19, Gregory Calmaring, Limp Bizkit Jigsaw, Mike and John, Frago, Anthony Japov, Michael Zank, Konjik, Tyler, Neos is my alias, and Chris Louie.
Neos is my alias is so fucking good. I know I said this already, but like that name is so good for Patreon. Also, whatever's going on with this like Gores in My Prison Pocket, Gores in My Lap, that shit just makes me chuckle a little bit every time. The Gores in random place. Gores is like that new Elf on the Shelf thing. Like just Gores in My Prison Pocket, Gores in My Lap. Why is Gores Elf on the Shelf? That's actually amazing. I think this Christmas coming up, if we remember, I want to do like a little putting gourds in random places and then like filming it, that or like taking pictures of it. How people do the elf on the shelf. That shit would be hilarious. So, anyways, guys, we're gonna get out of here. As always, say do the things that make you happy, including enjoying being Super Bowl champions and also enjoying Kendrick's victory lap on Drake. It's been amazing. It's been a great year for music, a great year for sports teams and all that good stuff. And we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.